Welcome. Okay, excellent. Welcome everyone again to this Research for Action seminar series. It's on designing and scaling multi-level eco-projects. And I'm joined today by Brian McConnell. Brian is an integrated tech media designer, a systems thinker, and a creator who's focused on advancing conscious cultural evolution. So his work brings together evolutionary science, regenerative design systems thinking, and media strategy to explore new approaches to community development. So he's the creator of the econregen.org initiative and a course on conscious cultural evolution, and has collaborated with networks including us, the Doughnut Economic Action Lab, the MIT U School, and Transition Network. So his current focus is on designing multi-level frameworks that support the scaling of regenerative ecosystems across diverse cultural contexts. So you can see the session summary there on the screen, so I won't walk you all the way through that, besides to emphasize that really today it's about teasing out design considerations that we need to keep in mind, recognizing that projects operate across many scales. And so with that, I am very pleased to pass it across to Brian.
First, welcome to everyone who's joined us for today's current installment in DEAL's Research for Action seminar series, and this particular segment exploring the design and scaling of multi-level eco-projects. As the founding director and a consciousness practitioner of ecoregen.org, I've prepared this slide stack as a brief overview of our unfolding story and a reflection of our appreciation for resilience as a principal design element informing a participatory regenerative process taking place across multiple dimensions of onto-epistemological experience. Yet, and without going into a long, exhaustive apologetic, the theoretical lens underlying the content here is best grasped as a collated mosaic comprised of various models, including that of Doughnut Economics, of course, but also integrating a good many others like the one depicted here, reflecting Harvard psychologist Robert Kegan's 5 stages of human development. In this way, and where the integral model 2 helps us see that any situation can be understood from multiple perspectives, whether through the interior experience of individuals or that of shared cultural meaning. Those respective vantage points interrelate to and with the external structures and systems with which we together work. Subsequently, and even at Kegan's level of self-authoring, for example, which is generally viewed as an internal individual capacity, those other subjective states, whether imperial, socialized, or impulsive, may also be arising simultaneously within a given context. Likewise, and while no single perspective is reflecting the whole story in its entirety, beyond the bounds of conventional structure, these systems nevertheless are being shaped by shared meaning or the way in which we otherwise interpret and subsequently relate to what's actually happening. Obviously, though, too, we're not solely working with external systems alone, but rather with interior dimensions like values, meaning, and culture. Therefore, and once we begin to interrelate with systems in this way, not just externally, but with that is the system's interior dimensions, it actually alters the relational meaning of what's mutually recognized as being a part of the system itself. Consequently, but from this broader, deeper, overarching viewpoint, we better appreciate how the pattern ordering of embodied whole lines together comprises a holarchy involving multiple levels, both interiors and exteriors, and interacting parts dependent on the greater whole of which they're also a part. Consequently, however, when we experience the system's infrastructure in this way, as both nested and interdependent, it no longer behaves in a static manner. These are complex adaptive systems where each part has a degree of autonomy, the capacity to self-organize. And that data loop possessing the capability to inform conscious choice and any subsequent changes in behavior constitutes the function of adaptive learning. Thus, and when resilience is present in this way, something else becomes possible. Systems don't just stabilize, they begin to evolve across various dimensions, not just biological, but where we begin nonetheless seeing similar patterns of variation, selection, and that what works tends to persist and replicate. But what's especially important here is this isn't happening at just one level. It's happening both across and between individual groups and larger systems simultaneously. So it's not just individuals that evolve. It's patterns of relationship, ways of organizing, and structures themselves. And over time, certain patterns get selected, not because they're necessarily ideal, but because they work within the system. So if our focal question revolves around how do we go about designing conditions for more resilient patterns to emerge, the next question is, what does that actually look like in practice? It's for those same reasons, though, I'm eager to share an example of the approach our team is adapting to explore that underlying question more thoroughly. By design, then, ecoregion.org is a living, evolving project, both exploring and subsequently testing how regenerative initiatives can be envisioned and functionally networked across multiple levels. It's not so much a single individual project then, as it is a living framework and organizational platform where diverse energies working within collaborative contexts can begin to align and learn from each other. Therefore, and while at one level it's certainly about individuals and how people develop the capacity to engage with complexity, at another it's about communities, shared practices, relationships, and local initiatives. And at even a more expansive level, there's relational connection between larger systems, ecological, economic, and social. It's for these reasons, though, awareness is attentively iterative. Projects are prototyped in specific places, connected via common networks, and adapted over time based on what works. So, and rather than trying to scale a fixed solution, our mutual aim is to support patterns that can evolve and replicate or regenerate across disparate contexts. Yeah, and because the challenges we're facing are complex and interconnected, they don't respond well to linear solutions. Consequently, what's needed are approaches with which we can adapt, learn, and subsequently evolve across levels. So, and just for now, I'd like to close with a question. What conditions are we collaboratively creating for the future to emerge? Just for now, thanks.